Meantime, aren't things just going amazingly well for the Labor Party at the moment, trying to find a safe place to put the endless failure that is Kristina Keneally? Well, each way Albo is yet again proving himself to be each way when it comes to who should be the local MP for the seat of Fowler. This bloke was the MP for many years. Mr Hayes had the backing of union mates and he'd been around for a long time. It's one of the safest Labor seats in the country. He decided to vacate the seat, and he decided that the best person to replace him was a Vietnamese lawyer. She's born in Australia, I should say. Her parents come from Vietnam, but she has connections to the Vietnamese community, which is a big part of that particular electorate. And each way Albo, true to form, was more than happy to say this is the right person to be the next member for Fowler. Only problem was that was then, and this is each way Albo. And then deals needed to be done to find KK a spot in the lower house. Now, the real story about all of this is about a politician called Deb O'Neill who doesn't want to make way for Kristina Keneally on the Senate ticket in New South Wales, but I won't bore you with that. But that's why Kristina Keneally is now seat shopping. And each way Albo has gone from supporting the local community activist, the perfect example of the Australian immigrant story, to yet another Australian immigrant to Australia, but one who has already had many chances to fail in Australian politics. So guess who? Each way Albo now thinks should be the next member for Fowler. The lady he sat with at dinner, or the one the party hacks say he has to put up with?
Andrew Clennell, my colleague, reports that you were supportive of having the National Executive endorse Kristina Keneally as the number one Senate candidate. So is this a bit of, a drama that you could have avoided by just backing Keneally to be the number one on the ticket, as Andrew said you were willing to do?
Well, I, of course, think that the Deputy Senate Leader, if she nominated for the Senate, would be number one on the ticket. That is something that is a given. Kristina has chosen to nominate, put herself forward to go to the lower house.
That's crap. This is his state, his party, and he can't control this mess. Good luck with China. Meantime, Labor MPs who never speak ill of their own party are doing so, and doing so in droves. Anne Ali talks about the convenient switch from the entitled white lady to the person who grew up in the seat of Fowler.
Diversity and equality and multiculturalism can't just be a trope that Labor pulls out and parades, while wearing a sari and eating some kung pao chicken to make ourselves look good. To be in a position where they are pushing aside a community representative from one of the most multicultural electorates is hypocrisy.
And it's not just her. Peter Khalil, who is the member for Wills, that's the old seat that Bob Hawke had in the Parliament, he too has doubled down on criticism of the decision that has been made by the bloke who can't control his own party in his own state. That people of colour shouldn't be tokens inside the Labor Party. He says we should not be token, and that Labor must lift its multicultural game. The lady who would love to be the leader of the left faction in New South Wales, Tanya Plibersek, well, of course, has to toe the line, but doesn't particularly do it with any enthusiasm.
Amongst those concerned, your colleague Anne Ali, she says it's not fair, it's not right, it's a huge failure for Labor on diversity. What do you think?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that Chris Hayes, the outgoing member for Fowler, is one of the best people I've ever had the honour of working with, and he'll be sorely missed. His work, particularly on combating the death penalty and supporting Australians on death row overseas, is just extraordinarily...
Well, he's upset about this move too.
...principled and honourable work that he's done. Yeah, and David, I'm a glass half full person. Aren't we lucky in the Labor Party to have three fantastic women, all who want to be in Parliament?
Really? I think Tanya Plibersek knows that the Sheila who lives here at an island off the northern beaches is not exactly a perfect fit for the streets of Cabramatta and the wider district of Fowler. Oh, and there's another brave person who's been willing to speak up against the party, somebody whose career most likely will stop at this exact moment, because to speak against the party means, of course, you go no further. A Labor councillor in her 20s in Liverpool Council has had this to say today about this very situation. Now, of course, she's not going to say anything personal about Kristina Keneally, but interesting to note that she says, Fowler is a young seat. The largest age group is under 30, people like me, as second-generation migrants who rightly question what political parties have to offer and how they reflect our values. A serious question will be, why doesn't our political representation reflect how we look and sound? Labor must step up and do the right thing in Fowler. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens here. Will the lady who continues to fail upwards win? Will each way Albo somehow be able to take control of his own party in his own state? It's fun to watch.